Whispers of Hollow Creek. Chapter 1. The Arrival. When the sun began to set, a dull orange haze enveloped Hollow Creek, its eerie quietness broken only by the soft rustle of leaves. It was a quaint town, nestled between thick woods and steep hills, picturesque yet unsettling. The town had a charm that drew in weary travelers, but there was an air of something sinister lingering just beneath the surface. Clara and her younger brother Liam were on a road trip when their car broke down just outside Hollow Creek, with no cell service and the shadows growing longer. They decided to venture into the town, hoping to find help. The streets were empty, and the houses stood silently, like spectators watching their every move. As they walked, Clara felt a strange chill creep down her spine. Something was off. The atmosphere was thick with an unshakable sense of dread. They approached a small diner, its neon sign flickering erratically. The door swung open with a creak that echoed in the silence. Inside, the air was stale, and a few patrons sitting at the counter eyed them warily. "Can I help you?" a grizzled man behind the counter asked, his voice gruff. "We need help with our car," Clara replied, forcing a smile. "Is there a mechanic nearby?" The man's gaze drifted toward the window, and he shook his head slowly. "You're not the first to wander in here. No one leaves Hollow Creek. Best to turn back while you still can." Clara's heart raced. "What do you mean?" But the man merely shrugged and returned to his drink. The tension in the diner thickened, and Liam fidgeted beside Clara, sensing the unease. They quickly left, a sense of urgency pushing them onward. As they wandered the streets, Clara noticed that the town seemed to shift around them. A street they had walked down before now felt unfamiliar. The houses appeared closer, their windows like dark eyes, watching them intently. The sun dipped below the horizon, and the shadows stretched longer, consuming the light. "Clara, I don't like this place," Liam whispered, clutching her hand. "I know, but we need to find help," she replied, trying to sound confident. Just then, a figure emerged from the shadows, a woman, dressed in tattered clothes, her hair matted and wild. "You shouldn't be here," she rasped, her eyes wide with fear. "They're coming for you. You must hide." "Who's coming?" Clara asked, her voice trembling. But before the woman could answer, she glanced behind them, her expression shifting to sheer terror. "Run!" she screamed, darting into the darkness. Clara grabbed Liam's hand, and they sprinted down the street, the sound of footsteps echoing behind them. They turned a corner, seeking refuge in an alley. They pressed against the cold bricks, their breath coming in panicked gasps. "What's happening?" Liam cried, his eyes filled with tears. "I don't know," Clara replied, her heart racing. "But we have to find a way out of here." As they cautiously made their way through the twisting streets, Clara noticed symbols etched into the wall, strange markings that seemed to pulsate with energy. They led them to a dilapidated old church at the edge of town, its steeple looming like a ghostly finger pointing to the sky. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of decay. Flickering candles illuminated the pews, and a heavy silence hung in the air. Clara and Liam stepped inside, their footsteps echoing ominously. A figure stood at the altar, a man dressed in dark robes, his back turned to them. "Welcome, travelers," he said, his voice smooth and deep. "You've come seeking refuge, but this place is not what it seems." "Who are you?" Clara demanded. "I am the keeper of Hollow Creek," he replied, turning to face them. His eyes glowed with an unnatural light. "This town is cursed. Those who enter are bound to it, trapped by the darkness that feeds on their fears." "What do you mean?" Liam whispered, fear creeping into his voice. "The townsfolk made a pact long ago," the keeper continued. "They sacrificed their freedom for the illusion of safety. Now, the shadows hunt for new souls to join them." Clara's heart sank as the realization hit her. "We have to leave. There must be a way. Only if you can confront your deepest fears," the keeper warned. "But beware, the darkness will reveal itself, and it will not be kind." Chapter 4. The Darkness Within. Determined to escape, Clara and Liam left the church and made their way back through the town, now consumed by darkness. The air crackled with malevolence, and shadows danced around them, whispering their deepest fears. As they walked, Clara felt herself being pulled into the darkness. Visions flooded her mind, memories of her childhood, the trauma of losing their parents in an accident, her inability to protect Liam from the world. Each fear clawed at her, threatening to consume her entirely. "Clara, hold on," Liam shouted, grasping her hand tightly. "Don't let it take you." Clara shook her head, fighting against the pull. "We can't give in. We have to keep moving." They stumbled through the streets, but the shadows grew bolder, closing in on them. Terrifying figures emerged from the darkness, manifestations of their worst nightmares. Clara faced twisted versions of her parents, their faces contorted in grief, while Liam confronted his own insecurities, haunted by the fear of being alone. Finally, they reached the town's edge, the barrier between Hallow Creek and the outside world. The darkness swirled around them, whispering promises of safety if they surrendered. But Clara steeled herself, drawing strength from her brother. "No," she yelled into the abyss. "We are not afraid of you." In a final act of defiance, Clara faced the shadows, embracing her pain instead of running from it. As she did, a blinding light erupted from her heart, pushing the darkness back. The figures shrieked and retreated, dissolving into wisps of shadow. "Clara," Liam shouted, his voice breaking through the chaos. "You did it." With one last surge of determination, Clara grabbed Liam's hand. They bolted toward the barrier, the shadows clawing at their heels. Just as they reached the edge, the darkness surged one last time, but Clara's light expanded, engulfing them. When they opened their eyes, they found themselves on the side of the road, the sun rising on the horizon. Hallow Creek was gone, replaced by the gentle sounds of nature. They were free. Clara and Liam stood in silence, the weight of their experience settling around them. They had faced their fears and escaped the curse of Hallow Creek, but the memories lingered, a reminder of the darkness that lurked within. As they walked away, Clara glanced back one last time. The town was shrouded in mist, but she knew its whispers would echo in her mind forever.